Once again, I welcome you to Dialogue on Public Issues. I'm John Chowney with Campbellsville University. Very pleased today to be interviewing one of our local educational leaders, Superintendent Kirby Smith in the Campbellsville City School District. Kirby, welcome back.
Thank you. Glad
You're
to be
getting
back.
to be an old pro at this
well,
now.
I'm about an old pro.
This is about the third or fourth time.
It's several times now, yes.
Glad
to have
you're a pro.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, but
we'll see.
Thank you for having us on. I appreciate it.
How are things going?
Going good. It really is. I tell you, knock on wood, I believe the flu season is behind us.
Good.
The rain stopped, the sun's shining.
Amen.
And but you know, really things are going good. But when you have good kids, good employees, and good parents, every day is a good day.
Absolutely.
But just blessed to be in such a great district. But things are going great.
You're now in your second year?
Second year, yes, sir. Second year.
This will be your second complete year.
Second complete year
as school
correct.
superintendent.
Yes.
Now, what are some of the highlights of the current year?
Oh gosh. Well, let's start with the elementary school.
Sure.
Enrollment is up. We've been steadily increasing all year. We have had to hire another preschool teacher since the school year started, an assistant, a kindergarten teacher, an assistant. So our numbers keep trending in the right direction. At the middle school level, our beta continues to do well. We have another student, Chloe Thompson, who ran for state office and was elected state vice president. So she'll get to run for the national office this summer. Following up, Chase Horde last year was state secretary and then went on to win the national secretary. So we're trending in the right direction with our middle school beta. And then, at the high school level, we started the year off with Elizabeth Sullivan winning the Distinguished Young Woman program at the regional level, or local level, I mean, and competed at the state level, made the top 10, and then went on to was the overall scholastic winner in the state. So very proud of her. Football team once again, district champs, regional champs, as a repeat, first time in school history as a repeat regional champs. Golf team back to the state tournament. Oh gosh, I could keep cross country. Ian McInich competed in the cross country states. We have a lot of kids and a lot of things at high levels. Gosh, let me think. Archery, started archery this year.
Excellent.
And with our middle school and high school, and we have 40 kids shooting now archery, and actually 7 that are headed to the state this
Fastest
weekend.
growing sport in America,
Yes, it is.
or it was
Yes,
a year or
it
so
is.
ago.
And we've kind of dabbled in it here and there, but never really had a true official team. We've introduced it in PE classes, but this year, Mr. Kidwell is our coach, and like I said, we got 40 middle school kids out. And in our first year, we have 7 kids that are going to be competing at the state. So just a lot of great things going on. One other thing, under the direction of Miss Lauren Bennett, we have a resurgence of our drama program. And we had a play for the first time in probably maybe 8 years or so, Ebenezer Scrooge. And it was put on by the kids, run by the kids. The kids owned it, and it was just great. And so it was just good to, just a lot of good vibes right now. So
Marching band did very well this year.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Had another great year. And that's one thing that every year Mr. Shelton is back and knocking on the door. I think we finished 7th this year, and I think we were 3 spots away from making it to the finals. And they'll get there. He does a good job, and the kids work hard. Probably one of the hardest working groups we have, because when the other groups finish their practices, the band's just going back out for a second round or a third round. There's not really any time off for those guys.
For those parents who don't have kids in marching band, they don't really understand, the time and effort and physical activity that is involved.
Because like I said, they'll start at 2 o'clock, and there are times when, like I said, everybody else is leaving, and it's getting dark, and there's lights on, and they're going through the routines. And this is a full day. When you go to a competition, I try to make 2 or 3 a year. The support it takes for that band to compete with the parents, it's just amazing to see it happen. But no, they did a great job. And this year I went up watching them again, and it was a cold day, and they had obviously the best performance. We're so close.
Right.
They'll get there. They'll be back in the top 4 in the state.
Absolutely.
I believe they will.
Absolutely. Now, what is the total enrollment approximately in the school district?
I would say 1150 to 1160, 1160, somewhere in
that's
there. We're trending up.
Upward trend.
Yes, we are. Right now we're the elementary is just, I guess you almost say, busting at the seams. It's just growing. We're to the point now where we're probably going to finish the year with as many as 60 preschool students, and so typically, that's somewhere between 38 to 40, and just in a couple of years we're already pushing the number of 60. So. Just like I say, everything's trending in a good direction.
That's a very positive thing. Now, you've done quite a bit of renovation in recent years at the school and new construction. Are you continuing that, doing some additional work?
We are doing some work right now at the middle school. There are two programs we're going to launch next year. The first, which will be housed at the back side of the middle school in the back wing, is the Eagle Center of Innovation. And it's a new program that's going to be for students in grades 4 through 7. And that's a program that we want our students to be critical, creative thinkers. We want them to have more of a hands-on approach to learning where they're making things, they're building things, more of a project-based approach to learning. And just we want them out in the community, engaged earlier through community service projects. And so we're really looking forward to a way to continue to push that rigor, but then understand that there's, there's other things involved with learning and try to be a little different with what we do. So, it's an application process, so students will have to apply. We're going to start with 25 students in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th and 7th, and hopefully this will grow into where we can do this, expand to other programs. So we're very excited. So on the back side of the middle school, we are taking that wing and we're kind of, we're blowing out walls and we're making rooms bigger and brighter and, putting the technology in there that we need to pull off this Eagle Center of Innovation. Very exciting. We're excited about that. And at the high school, it's not really necessarily any remodeling going on, but we will be starting a new program next year called the Big Picture Learning Academy. There are several academies throughout the country right now, but only one other one in Kentucky, and that's in Shelby County. We actually started the process talking about this probably 4 years ago when I was principal. I was talking with a lady from the State Department, and I was very passionate about that. Our kids were graduating. We're doing a great job with that, and our scores are well, but you just see a lot of kids that they graduate, but they're not really sure what they want to do. And the more I got to thinking, well, they don't know because we've not provided those opportunities. So when I was explaining, I was thinking, maybe we'll apply to be a district of innovation. And she said, I tell you what, why don't you visit this school in Nashville? It's called the Big Picture School, and I think it's probably what you would maybe want to do. So sure enough, we do, and it's so different. It's very outside the box thinking, non-traditional. But students only actually attend school 3 days a week, and 2 days a week they're out in their community, job shadowing, internships, and they develop a strong relationship and partnership with the person they're interning with, and that becomes their mentor. And those students are so well prepared that when they graduate with the same number of credits, but they understand what they want to do. So, I'm passionate, and our Board of Education is very passionate about making sure that when our students graduate, they understand what that next phase of life looks like. Because it's not college for everybody.
Right.
It may be it may be military. It could be in the vocational tech. It could be in a career field. But the students will know because they've been given an opportunity to know what it's like. So we're excited about those two programs. We've already had a couple nights to have parents come out and learn about it, and we actually had 50 students apply. Actually, a total of 80 students applied to be part of this Big Picture Academy. So very excited about those two opportunities.
I'll be interested in learning more about that after you get that up and going.
Up and rolling. So we're excited about it.
Any other major accomplishments during the current year that we didn't mention earlier? Or?
Let's see here. Man, I could start at each school and talk about our staff and people for days. As I think of the elementary school, we have our Wings Express program where our teachers work with our kiddos after school. I think that goes to about 4 or 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Same thing happens at the middle school and high school. They stay after with kids. They help prepare them for the upcoming testing, just homework help. Today our juniors took the ACT, and we've been for the last, 8 to 10 weeks having study sessions on Fridays where it's obviously the students can volunteer to stay, but we've been having 60 and 70 kids stay. So that in itself is just an accomplishment when kids want to stay and teachers want to stay because they want to see the kids do the best they can do. And I just can't say enough for what our kiddos are doing because we're excelling at a high level. Yes, we're small, that's no secret, but our kids, even though, like I said, there's the scholastic winner in the state of Kentucky came from Campbellsville High School, graduated class of 70-some students. So that says a lot for what we offer, the number of AP courses. We went from offering 3 or 4 AP courses several years ago when I was principal to now 12 or 13. So it's just it's exciting time to be an Eagle.
Indeed,
right now. Yeah.
Indeed. Now this is not to be negative, but it's hard to talk about education without at least mentioning the pension crisis.
Absolutely.
Pension situation. How's that affecting the Campbellsville Independent School District?
Other than us knowing and maybe a little uncertainty of what the future might hold, it's nothing like what we're seeing right now maybe in Jefferson County where, where teachers are calling in and wanting to go to Frankfort. However, I've been in contact with, of course, obviously, when I say in contact, we're a small district. So, I pick up the phone and call our KEA reps and say, so we're sending some folks to Frankfort on Thursday, 2 or 3 teachers. But we're going, and I say business as usual, because our staff are focused on one thing, and that's our students. We understand that we need to keep an eye on what's going on in Frankfort. But our priorities are kids, and so and I'm very fortunate to work in a district that takes that serious. But at the same time, we trust our legislators to hopefully do the best they can do, and we want them to get something worked out. But our focus has to be our kiddos, and so we keep our eye on that.
Now, there is a lot of negativity in the news media these days on several fronts, but what I like about your approach is emphasis on positive things.
Absolutely.
Give us some examples, and you've already touched on that, but some more examples of success stories, good news happening, particularly among, I think people like to hear success stories about students.
Right, they do. Well, and I go back and I've mentioned a couple of times, but when a school our size probably is not supposed to have a national officer. But last year Chase Horde, we're probably one of the smaller beta clubs, but he kind of opened the door there to winning a state office and then a national office.
Right.
And that's opened to all schools in the state of Kentucky and all states in the country. So you've got students that are being recognized at the national level. And I go back to Elizabeth winning, and our football programs and just the things we have going on. There's just a lot of kids excelling at a high level and a high rate. And when they go out there, they wear that purple proud, and they make us proud. But that only happens because we have adults and sponsors and teachers that understand the value and the importance of pushing our kiddos. And it doesn't matter your size, doesn't matter where you come from. That we can compete with anybody, and we're doing that not only in the classroom, but other ways as well. Our elementary school for the first year has a beta program, and they took 30 kids. Now, I'm not sure that I want to tackle 30 kids overnight trip, but they did, and I'm thankful they did. That was Miss Hash and Miss LaRue, but they took 30 students to the beta and had several students compete. Had a kid, I think maybe placed first in math, and we had a kid run for an office, and they just, to see the kids up on stage competing against 3,000 or 4,000 students and not being scared just to get them up there, it's great. So, but a lot, once again, our basketball team went in the Class A, golf team back, so our kids are just doing great things. We have a lot of kids out now around the community, kind of piggybacking on what I'm talking about when I talk about big picture learning. They're doing some internships and doing some great things here in the community. But that's only possible because the community is allowing us to send those kids out. And it's just amazing what they're learning. I had a student tell me the other day, I never could have got this in the classroom. And so, and I think our job as educators is not necessarily, I read this the other day, not necessarily to see how much we can fill the students' buckets with, but our job is to ignite their fire. Our job is to help them see what they're passionate about. And so that's my goal. That's our goal as a district, and our Board of Education for the same way is, how do we let our kids know and let them learn what they're passionate about? And so that's, we're excited about that. And in doing so, you start to see some success. You start to see some kids saying, I can do that. We had a student last night, Chloe Thompson, who said, I saw Chase give his speech, and I saw him be successful, and I said to myself, I can do that, and I want to do that. So that's how it starts. So it's very exciting.
Where do we stand now, Kirby, in terms of student assessment? We've been through numerous models and types of tests, and I can't keep up, to be perfectly, as a grandparent of kids in school. What system are we using now? What is the guide stone, if you will?
It is a little different. Once again, we just found out probably, 3 or 4 months ago that ACT was going to be our vendor for our juniors. So our juniors are still taking the ACT. Okay. We're not sure. I think we have that for 2 more years. Okay. But there was some talk that could change. But obviously you're still going to have your reading and your math at your levels. And then we continue to bring in science, social studies, but they're still working on some new standards for those two. So it's constantly changing. And what I tell our folks is that, at the end of the day, and this is our mindset we have to have, we're not going to teach to a test. Right. We're not going to teach to an assessment. Our job as teachers is not to teach math, and it's not to teach English, it's to teach students. And so I want our folks to understand that yes, that could change, the test could change, whatever, but those kids won't change, and they're coming, and they need you to teach them. And so that's kind of our focus. Not that we don't understand the test is coming, because
Right.
we test in 33 days. Okay, so I know that's coming, the K-Prep test, and we'll be prepared. But our focus is that we prepare our students to be lifelong learners, servants of the community. And so if we do that, the other will take care of itself.
Are we still rating students as proficient and
Well,
all that, or we moved
Yes,
to
we've moved to a star system.
Okay.
Now we're not really sure what that star
Okay,
system. It's supposed to be a 5-star system.
Yeah.
So and you can't be a 5-star unless you have make sure you have a full-time counselor and a meeting. So there's all these little check boxes and all that. But still, at the end of the day, I tell our folks, let's not get caught up in the star system.
Right.
The only stars I want us to focus on are kids.
Right.
They're our stars, and they're the ones that we've got to say, okay, that's who we want to make sure that in their eyes and their parents' eyes that we are the stars for them and working together. So it'll all work out. It will.
I must confess, I'm going to editorialize a little bit here, but which I probably shouldn't do. But as a taxpayer and a parent and a grandparent, you get kind of I don't know, cynical about all the changing. And I know people, the policymakers mean well.
Sure.
And it's more toward policymakers than educators themselves. It's just this constant change in assessment standards, and it's like we're searching for the panacea that's going to solve, the silver bullet that's going to solve everything.
And it's not there.
And
with the new governor and with the new commissioner, we have now new graduation requirements will start next year. So there's a lot of change there where, what you and I are used to, a student having to take 4 math and 4 English, it's not, that's not going to be the case. And some students will still need that, and some students it could be okay for, which goes along with our big picture. There's a lot of possibly fear with change, because we get into routine, that's what we like. But I'm okay with thinking a little bit outside the box. And
sure.
If it benefits that child, and we truly know that child is passionate about whatever it is they want to do, then we've got to do whatever it takes to make that child's dream come true and help lead them in that direction.
Do the new graduation requirements that the commissioner has put on the table, does that require a comprehensive test?
You will have to take a test in reading and math.
Okay.
At your sophomore year.
Okay.
But it's basically it's going to cover Algebra 1 and geometry. That's it. So, that there's not going to be Algebra 2 or maybe trig or anything like that. And the same thing with your English test. It will be basically English 1 and English 2. So once a kid passes that exam, if they choose to go on and take the English 3, the standard English 3 and English 4, they can. Or if their ILP leads them down a different path, they still have to have 2 more English classes. Right. But maybe it's English Lit. Maybe it's British literature. It could be whatever that child needs. So, which can be a challenge too for our small school. Whenever we start thinking, how are we going to offer what we need to? But it'll work out. I'm very positive about that.
What are some of the examples you mentioned, partnerships and so forth? But some partnerships between the independent school system and local community partners. Right. If you're able to
Absolutely.
give details.
I can. Right now, Dr. Taylor Cox's office here in town. They have a student that is interning with them. It's been a great relationship. Dr. Randy Smoot, we have a student out there. We have several students here at CU in the communications department.
Oh, good.
Love it, and they're doing great things. The experience they're gaining, when those kids come back and tell you, you know that they're smiling and they're telling you the things they're learning, and they're not just learning while they're there. They're learning from adults, and they're finding out that learning can take place outside the walls of school. Right. The relationship with the city. Last year, or actually my first year as superintendent, I was very adamant that we needed a school resource officer. We hadn't had one for several years. So at that time, I was working with Mr. Young. And we were able to work together and come together as a partnership and provide a school resource officer. So the partnership with the city, and I'm happy to say that I've had several conversations with Mayor Allen, and she is on board, and so that's been a great partnership. So there's several more, and big picture learning will allow us to even create more partnerships with the community, because I feel like that we as part of the community, as a school system, need to make sure that our students understand how to give back and how to be servant leaders, and how to understand how they can be engaged in their community at a young level. So we're going to actually start that with our center, the Eagle Center of Innovation. Those students will have community-based projects that they will do, and they will be outside of those 4 walls in the school as much as they're in, and learning how to give back. So we're going to start that at an early age. So.
You mentioned the school resource officers in partnership with the CPD. What are you doing now? School safety continues to be a major issue of concern.
Hot topic everywhere you go. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago, the KSBA conference, and several of my sessions were on school safety. So once again, that was our first thing, is to acquire a school resource officer, and we have one in Charlie Halkin. Does a great job. He's located, it's for the district, but he's located most times at the high school, middle school, and it does make his rounds to elementary. We also just in December, we requested a complete safety audit from the Kentucky Center for School Safety of all of our campus, all of our locations. So they spent a couple of days with us, and we took their findings and recommendations, and we've made some adjustments to our procedures for guest entering and for classrooms, and so we take that very serious. We're in the process right now of a trial run of an app where we can alert our staff so much quicker, and we kind of change some of our lockdown procedures and fire drill procedures. Typically in the past, when the fire drill goes off, you don't hesitate, but you get up and go. So there's a lot of changes that we've made. Probably still the thing that I think we need to hang our hat on a little bit is that continue to build and have positive relationships with our students, with our parents, and with the community.
Right.
Is still very vital. We can't lose sight of that. But we have a safety committee that meets monthly, and that continues to look at things. So
have you had time to examine some of the content of the new school safety legislation that was passed? Senator Wise and Representative Carney were prime sponsors of that particular bill.
I have, and there's some things in there that will help us out. With possibly more counselors. So there's some things in there that now I haven't been able a chance to read it all.
Sure.
Pages, but yes, and I think it even talks about adding a school psychologist and just doors locked, and some of those things we're already doing. We have a school psychologist. We keep our doors locked, inside in the hallways. But there's a lot of things there that will draw attention to that. But yeah, absolutely.
Another feature coming online that's a partnership with several entities, including the university, is the new Central Kentucky Career Academy. We've talked about that before, but tell us about that.
All right. I tell you, their class is already meeting over there. It's been a great partnership with Mr. Higdon in Taylor County, and that started actually with my first year with Mr. Cook. We are going to be turning in a grant to the state for new Skills for Youth initiative. And if we were to get this grant, I think it's approximately $115,000, and it's to help plan for the next year for the center. So we're just very excited that our kids can have that opportunity, and for the community. We want that to be a place where it's not just for our students, but it's maybe it's a one-stop fits all where if you need to get your GED, maybe the GED center's out there, and maybe you can take some welding classes, nursing classes, night classes. So we're very excited about what that could look like in the future, and that's only made possible because we're able to sit down at the table together and work together and understand that we need what's best for kids in the community. So like I said, we already have kids taking nursing classes over there, and we just look for that to continue to grow and keep our fingers crossed that we can maybe get that grant.
It's another option for a lot of the young people coming out of our high schools.
Yeah, because not everybody. We have a lot of kids that come and take classes at CU every day.
Right.
And it's a great partnership, and it works well. But once again, not everybody is going to do that. So what are the other options for other students?
And we're going to be teaching adult welding there, and then maybe some of our work ready certificate programs there as well.
So we have to kind of branch out there a little bit. So
what's being done to address the continuing problems of drug abuse and overdose in the community at large, and certainly the concern is in our schools, we know.
We're very fortunate. We have, obviously a guidance counselor in each building. We also have a family resource center coordinator and a youth service center coordinator. They're very active with our students. We continue to do the programs that we've always done, the Truth or Consequences, Reality Town, Ghost Out. But we're hoping next year that we're going to be able to bring DARE back for our 5th graders. I've been working with Trooper Curry, and he actually spoke the other night at the Kentucky Farm Bureau Board meeting, and the Kentucky Farm Bureau Board donated, I'm wanting to say $4,000 for all schools in the county, the Christian school, Taylor County schools, and Campbellsville schools, to put toward that DARE program. And then also Mr. Morris Holmes donated money himself. So we're on a good start there to have enough money to implement the DARE program in the county. So that'll be something, and it's a new improved DARE program. But I think we just have to continue to inform our folks of the dangers of what's going on, and it starts there with our kids at earliest level, earliest age. You know, really maybe before 5th grade we need to. But so I'm hoping that program will help out.
And contrary to what some people think, the problem is not just in our among the kids.
No.
Unfortunately, it's among the adult population.
Right.
Probably is our biggest problem at this point in time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it trickles down to our kiddos after that.
It does. They suffer the consequences.
They do.
We're down to a minute. Anything that we've not touched on you'd like to comment on?
Probably one thing I would like to comment on that I missed. We started a supper feeding program last week. We now feed 3 meals a day at our schools. We feed a breakfast, we feed a lunch, and now we start a supper meal. We feed 3 to 5 o'clock. We fed over 600 kids last week. So just a lot of great things going on. Hats off to Shelley Wilson, the manager at CES Cafeteria, Mr. Pettit for running that. But just, I don't know, just another way that we can service our kiddos.
Sure, that's terrific to hear.
Yeah. So.
Kirby Smith, thank you.
Dr. Shane, thank
Keep
you.
up the good work.
It's always a pleasure.
And we'll do this again anytime.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is John Chowning with Campbellsville Independent School Superintendent Kirby Smith, thanking him and the City School District for the great job they're doing, and thanking you for being loyal viewers and audience for Dialogue on Public Issues.